Today, I'm sitting down with Mike Carmody, owner of Mike's Pressure Washing, Fresh Rinse Media, and now Ready Wash Systems. Now, Mike and I have become good friends over the years, and I've got a ton of respect, not just for what he's built, but how he has gone about it. Now, we're going to dive into the evolution of the Cheap Shot Soft Wash system, the Fresh Stream remote system, and the future of Ready Wash. Mike is flipping the soft wash world on its head, not just for the sake of being disruptive, but because he's actually solving real problems. And one of the biggest is affordability, and that is near and dear to my heart. Affordability for the masses, because not everybody can go out and drop 20K on a brand new skid or tons of money on marketing, which is why this month we're giving away a full year of Quote IQ Elite. This is our top tier that has InstaQuote, InstaSchedule. It's got route optimization, mass email and text blasts, email automation pipelines, and tons of other great features. We're also giving away one full year of our virtual call team, so you'll never miss a call again. And we're going to give away 5 QIQ ads. There's over 20 to choose from, so there's something for you. So, Mike, thanks for coming on, and it has been a while since you've been on the channel.
It has been. I miss you. I'm certainly grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
Well, I miss you too. And it's funny, Mike and I have got some weird bond, like some kind of Jedi mind meld type
This is
thing
it.
where I'll text him randomly or vice versa, and it's like, "Hey, I was just thinking about you." And it's weird, but
It is weird.
good dude. I'm glad that we became friends, and I'm glad you're on the channel. And I'm even more excited to talk about some of the things that you've got going on. Right, the last time that we talked on YouTube, we talked briefly about Fresh Rinse Media and some of the things that you were doing there. I've been fortunate enough. I got a couple A-frames from you. They're absolutely crushing. We've got our QR codes on there, and we're generating leads that way.
Yeah, Fresh Rinse Media is still doing its thing. Totally organic, not trying to put a lot of effort into growing Fresh Rinse Media. It's just happening. I think word of mouth is always the best kind of lead generation. And Fresh Rinse Media, just like Mike's Pressure Washing, having never really advertised. I still don't have a website after 11 years of washing, and I still don't advertise. And I did 4 houses and 2 decks today, done by 2:30, and building some cheap shots this afternoon. But yeah, Fresh Rinse Media has been a wonderful, wonderful thing. Really started with the YouTube channel, and then just kind of took a life of its own now, doing all manners of printing, from the 5x7 cards, A-frame signs, as you mentioned, door hangers, et cetera, et cetera. It's a blast.
The thing that I have seen a lot of, I watched a bunch of your videos on it, and it's, you go to Facebook and everybody's talking about it, and that is the cheap shot. Can you tell me about the evolution of that? How you, kind of put it all together and then, brought it to market?
Yeah, they say that necessity is the mother of all invention. And I just believe that it meets the needs, a lot of needs in the soft wash industry. As you said earlier, alluding to the fact that it's a very inexpensive way to have soft washing, roof washing, even house washing capabilities. And it really started out, again, as a necessity, just really wanted to get away from 12 volts. I love my AR-45, but struggled with it from time to time. And a young man by the name of Joseph Nalick, who's advanced soft wash in Mississippi, he actually sent me all the components to build a soft wash system using the Harbor Freight 79cc water pump, of all things. And to be honest with you, Mike, I kind of dismissed it. I mean, I really appreciated it. And so I put it together in my driveway. I can't leave well enough alone. I'm right brain, so I'm very creative. The cheap shot was developed right there in my driveway. It worked. It worked so much better than the 12 volt, and just a little bit less than maybe an AR-45 or a P40 Comet. I said, this is something that I think would really benefit the soft wash community. I began to dive further into it. I saw that there really was a need. And, let's just face it, Mike, an entrepreneur is someone who looks out there looking for a need, looking to solve a problem, finds the problem and the solution, and then introduces it into the world. I kind of haphazardly, to be perfectly honest with you, introduced it, and it just blew up. I wasn't intending to sell it, and people said, I want it. And so now we have a rather large shop. We're producing that among other things. And yeah, the future's bright. Very, very excited about it.
Yeah, well, I'm excited about it too, because I remember, like, initially when you had the first prototypes built, you were sending pictures and they were just raw, and then because you are the creative mind that you are, you started to do the wraps and really kind of punch it up, and and make it a marketable,
Yeah.
obviously the function is key, but then making it look cool is important to a lot of guys too. And you nailed something, and it was, the affordability, because like you can go out and you can pressure wash a house, you can pressure wash a driveway, and you can make good money. And you can do that with, a $400 pressure washer from Home Depot or Lowe's. It's not going to be ideal. It's not going to be as sufficient as, an 8 gallon per minute or anything else, but you're not going to really be able to do a roof effectively and economically and profitably. And so then you start having to dive into the other components, right? And if you're looking at an AR-45, or you're looking at the P40, or you're looking at, 24-volt systems, or, air diaphragm systems, you're starting to look at monumentally expensive things that, you have to have the proportion, or you have to have all these different components. And that isn't attainable initially for a lot of people. And that expense, the last time you were on, we talked about, we don't ever buy anything. It's our customers that pay for our stuff, but it's something that a lot of people, they can't wrap their heads around. But giving people the affordability factor there, giving them the cheap shot, is something that it really is disrupting the soft wash world, because you're taking a Harbor Freight engine, or pump and engine combination, and then you're building this system that is allowing people to go out and tackle the high profit, the high margin jobs that they wouldn't be able to normally. So kudos to you. What else is going on with the pump? Like, is there anything new and exciting, or we're just
Yeah.
mass producing and getting them out there?
As you said, there is such an evolution to it, and you solve one problem only to discover that there are other problems. And the problem in this with any type of soft wash equipment is running back and forth to the truck. Judd West introduced the Flow Pro that I've supported for years. John Hall is an amazing inventor in his own right, and has a remote control system. So that was the biggest question: when are you going to unveil some kind of a remote control system? And so, with a little research and some backing, having some investors on board with us, and of course, a lot of guys who are just energized around the idea are now coming my way, which is always nice. And so now we have an amazing remote control system, again, on the cheap. And by the way, when we say cheap, we're talking about inexpensive. And so for around the $500 mark, in addition to the cheap shot, you can get a remote control system that is absolutely amazing. And just like the cheap shot, it looks cool. So
Yeah.
you just get the whole thing. And Mike, we're calling that the big shot. So if you get the cheap shot and the remote control system, we're calling that the big shot. And then the next thing is what's called the shot heard around the world, because we have our own line of hose reels. If you get the cheap shot, the remote control system, which is called the Fresh Stream, and an 18-inch 3/4 manifold hose reel, that's the shot heard around the world. And there's one more thing, Mike, that I can't give away just yet, but it's bigger than all of that.
Oh, I
And
love it.
that will be unveiled very, very soon. I promised the investors and the collaborators that I would not unveil it just yet. So we've got a few weeks, but it's pretty cool.
Okay, well, you're gonna have to tell me about that offline, and just so I know, because now I need to know. And I promise I won't tell anybody. But dude, I absolutely love it, man. Like I said earlier, you're just a good dude, and I know you're the type of guy that is gonna, it's not cheap. It's well built, it's purpose built, and
Yes.
it's if maintained properly, then that's something that we all need to understand. Proper maintenance is required on everything that we use, but these things are going to last, right? And if you use it right, you maintain it, you're going to get you're going to make so much money with this, right? How many hours do you have on the one that's on your truck right now?
I have now 4 months of continual use with this is my very first one. It's the same one that I introduced from the beginning. Of course, we don't work in the winter here in Ohio. I did 15 houses the other day, duplexes in one day with that. I've done huge commercial projects with it, and it's really cool. And we were talking about that it's affordable and it's inexpensive. it's kind of, I don't know. I tend to operate with a chip on my shoulder. I don't mean to. I've got all the equipment. And by the grace of God, I could buy it all over again, for which I'm extremely grateful. Retained earnings allows me to do that, just pouring back into the business. But every time I pull the string on that cheap shot, I just laugh. I'm just like, this is so much fun. This
Yeah.
is so much fun. I could reach over to my AR-45 and do it. I just assume do it with the cheap shot.
Well, that's the way that I feel every time I open up Quote IQ on my phone and I give a quote, I schedule, or I'm sitting at my computer and a little notification pops up that somebody hit my website, filled out an Insta quote, got
Yeah.
a quote themselves, scheduled themselves. I never talk to them. Like it's just like this. It's pride in building something that is awesome, and then B, like the fact that we're competing against, just like you're competing against some big dogs out there, right? We're competing against the likes of Jobber and House Call Pro, and these are multi $100 million companies.
Yeah.
And I'm going through Facebook or scrolling through YouTube, and I see their ads and they're copying everything that we're doing. And
Classic.
it's like you guys just got like $600 million from venture capitalist, investors on Wall Street, and it's me and my iPhone filming, and you guys are copying me, and it makes me so happy.
Oh, yeah.
But one of the things that we are doing, and you're calling it the cheap shot. We've got something, and it's not out yet, and I probably shouldn't even be. By the time we drop this video, it's probably going to be out. But Quote IQ, we for the past probably 9 months, we have been developing AI built websites. So, you said you've been in business for X amount of years and don't have a website. Well, we run
Right.
into people all the time that, they're in business and they want a website, but they just don't have the funds to do it. So, for Quote IQ users, you're going to be able to create an AI website that's SEO optimized, that's got all the pages, it's got project pages, it's got blogs, it's got absolutely everything that you need for $39 a month,
Wow.
right? And
Crazy.
and nobody can touch that, right? And these are going to be great websites, beautifully built for you. And then you've got the opportunity to go in and edit and do whatever you want to it, to just tweak it and make it your own. But unbelievably cheap. And we do that because we want everybody to have the ability to play on the same, the playing field, right? We're kind of leveling out the playing field for everybody. Some people don't like that, but it's what we do. It's like we just, we've got all these great things within the software that I look at it and I'm like, wow, we've got so much. Like InstaQuote, our nearest competitor charges like $650 just to like set it up, and then they're charging $250
Hmm.
for just a quoting software, right? We're giving it to you for $139 plus everything else that's in Quote IQ. So like what you're doing and what we're doing, it's very similar, right? We're making it affordable and accessible to the masses, which that's why I'm so fond of what you're doing. So it's very, very cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hit on something there earlier, and it just reminded me of this thought about having a spirit of excellence. And really, to me, that's what it's about. We're not trying to disrupt anything. We're just doing our thing, and it's a spirit of excellence. I just truly want to be a participant in the community of pressure washing, of soft washing, and do it with integrity. And I believe, Mike, we were talking earlier about, entrepreneur is someone who's looking out there for a problem to solve, finds a solution, solves the problem. I believe one of the greatest problems in our industry isn't the equipment per se, but it's actually customer service. Customer service is an issue today. And so with Ready Wash systems, and I know we're young, I get that. I know we haven't found all the problems that a lot of people have discovered who have been around the block many, many times, and they've got a lot of sales under their belt. And I totally get that our day is coming, I'm sure. But what I'm seeing in the soft wash community and the pressure washing community as it pertains to service is that it's just absolutely lacking. We're taking advantage of hard working people for the sake of a dollar or two, and then we go live on YouTube or whatever, and we criticize them, and we're just really showing our hand and it's not good. We can be a better people than what we are. And that's what I hope to do with Ready to Watch Systems, not trying to really shake up anything. Just do our thing with a spirit of excellence, and in the end, solve a few problems along the way.
Yeah, I love that. And with Quote IQ, it's very similar. And it's one of those things. It's like, you build this, right? Quote IQ is my little baby, right? We
Love it.
built this,
Yeah.
and like it's so near to my heart. I eat, breathe, and even when I do sleep, I'm thinking about that, how we can make it better, how we can get it, just improve. And it's this constant thing. Early on, when you first build anything, there's going to be bugs, there's going to be issues, and you have to work through that, but you're not going to know about that until you put it out there. And so we, like, for example, Quote IQ, we put it out there, and yes, there were some issues. What we put out 3 years ago, it's nowhere near where it is now, because every single day we're making it better. And that's what makes us different than the guys that I just mentioned, is when they're having board meetings, when they're, getting approvals, we're building, rebuilding, and putting it out. If it doesn't work, it's gone, and then we put in something else in place. But early on, when we were getting the negative feedback, and there was a lot of negative feedback from, people that weren't supportive of what we were doing, I wasn't the best with customer support. And I kind of was, I was a jerk, and some of my responses were impulsive. And from, they were like, it was like, you're attacking what I built and my little baby. And so what I had to do is remove myself from that. And now, we've hired multiple support people, we've got onboarding specialists, we've got customer support people. And that was like, and just the moment where I was like, okay, we don't need more developers, we don't need more, tech people. What we need is more people. And so thank God I've got a great team of people now that are answering, phone calls. They're on the tech lines, and they're, all the stuff that you do to interact. But yeah, if you have bad customer support, and if you're doing the things that, some people do, it's a terrible look. And those businesses, they're not going to thrive. They're going to die. And it's sad, but it's true. And, you can look at others and learn from their mistakes. And it's easy to identify mistakes when they're so blatant. But yeah.
Yeah, it is. Not trying to bring the Bible in it, but let's bring the Bible in this for just a second. So, there's a fella in the Bible. His name is Daniel the prophet. The Bible says that Daniel was elevated and promoted in the kingdom because of his spirit of excellence, his excellent spirit. And I'm looking at some people in our industry, and I'm like, I'm rooting for it. I want them to succeed. I want them more than anything to do very, very well. And they're cutting their own throats by the way that they talk to people. If I talk to my pressure washing customers for the last 11 years, the way that some in our industry talk to people who are their brothers and sisters in the industry, like, I would not have Mike's Pressure Washing. We would not be ranked where we are in Cincinnati if we talk to our customers the way that vendors talking to people who are buying their product. I venture to say, if those same people were buying large products and large amounts, they wouldn't be talked about the way that they are. And I'm kind of crossing the line here a little bit, but that's a problem. That is a problem. If I don't solve it, I hope someone else does. I don't have to be the one who solves it, but it needs to be solved. And if in the end, I can look back, I'm 54 years old. If I can look back and say, I solved a few problems in the industry, that's why I've got the smile on my face. And I just keep the smile on my face, even though we have our naysayers. There are many people in the industry who absolutely hate what we are doing. But you know what? Dogs only bark at moving cars, which is to say that if you're going somewhere, those who can't go with you are always going to bark at you because they can't go. I love that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're going places, we're doing things, probably ruffling some feathers. But my hope is that in the end, people will see that our hearts are right, our intentions are right. And if we can advance the Softwash system, we all win when we do that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's another saying, winners never shoot down, right?
Ah,
And yeah, so, but yeah, it's a great saying, both of them. And it's very true. That's one of the things that I just made a video a couple days ago about. One of the things, it's just lessons that I've learned over the years that I
Mm,
wish I would have learned sooner.
wow,
And one of them is you have to quit caring what other people say,
true.
because God knows if all the stuff that people say about me, all the, and I'm sure you've got, naysayers and people that don't like you because you've put yourself out there. And we do put ourselves out there. And because of that, we kind of put targets on our back. And then when you start selling something,
Mm,
it's not, Mike or Mike who were the nice guys that were providing value for free for many, many years. Then
right.
it's like, oh, now you're just trying to sell your this, that, or the other. And, I look at those guys and I'm like, you're right. You consumed everything for free and you loved us. But as soon as we want to be compensated for, the value that we bring, now we're bad guys. And I can live with that. But then I say, are you not charging your customers for what you're providing? And the
Ooh,
answer is always, well, of course I am. And so, you have to grow thick skin. But with that thick skin, you also, like you said, you have to do right by the people that are consuming what you're selling. And if you don't, then you're not going to have any customers. Social media is going to eat you alive, and it's just not going to be a good thing. But with all that being said, I think that what you're building and what you're doing and how you're contributing to the industry is not, nobody can say anything negative about it. And I'm just proud to call you my friend. And I appreciate you being on the channel with me today.
bro.
And good luck to everything. We're going to put links for, your, where can people buy this?
Yeah, readywashsystems.com is where you would go to for the cheap shot for the remote system that will be unveiled very, very soon. Hose reels, all of the above, you can find at readywashsystems.com.
Awesome. Now I'm going to ask this and I don't know what the answer is. So, and I do have one question. Is this stuff manufactured here in the United States?
It is. Yeah. Obviously, there are components that are manufactured outside
Sure.
of the United States, but everything right here in my shop, I have one employee. 11 years, I've never had an employee. Now I have an employee, and she is absolutely amazing. Yeah, everything's manufactured right here in the States.
I love to hear it. That's awesome. Well, Mike, again, thanks for everything and your time. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, my friend. Bye bye.